What's up, guys? What is up? Welcome back to another episode of Deck Talk Podcast. And we are, all three of us right here, are straight from Fort Worth, Texas, with the Bassmaster Classic 2025. And we've got one heck of a show. It's going to be an interesting. We were told at the Classic that there was no limits of what we can ask Mr. Charley Evans. So we're going to put that to the limits to see what we can get. We're going to pick his brain. It's going to be a phenomenal show. But if you don't know, guys, I'm Colin Burnett.
That's right, Colin. And I'm Norman Lee. But we got some, first things first, we got some business once again. But we have actually two sponsors for tonight's episode. But first, we're going to talk about Lunker League USA. You have got to check out this nationwide online fishing tournament coming up on April 26th and 27th, presented by Lunker League USA. Fish one day or fish both days for your chance to win some serious coin. The top 50 finishers will get paid a whopping 10,000, or the top 50 finishers will get paid with a whopping $10,000 awarded to the first place fisherman. This tournament is for everyone, anywhere, any skill level, from a boat, from a kayak, or just walking the bank on any lake, any river, or any pond. Now you can compete against other fishermen around the world, but you can't win if you don't enter. A one-day registration fee of $75 or fish both days for $125 and have a chance to pad your pockets with some serious dough. This nationwide derby is a presentation of Lunker League USA, utilizing the length of fish system to determine the winner. So register today for this epic online showdown and have a chance to cash in on some serious fun by going to www.lunkerleagueusa.com. And once again, that is lunkerleagueusa.com. All right. And like I said, we actually have two sponsors for tonight's episode. So let's get right into our second order of business. We have been blessed to join forces with Luxner Lures for this year's Bassmaster Classic, and we are extending this special offer for you to take full advantage of. Guys, it is simple. Just scan the QR code at the top right hand corner of your screen and subscribe for your 30-day free trial and receive your first month's supply of Luxner Lures absolutely free. Make sure to also go to their website at www.luxnerlures.com for more information on how you can become part of the Luxner family. All right. Now that we got all that out of the way, of course, let's get right into introducing our guest for tonight. And this is a real special episode, guys. Uh, we got a real special guest going to be coming on and joining us tonight, as you can see right on the right hand side of your screens right now. But anyway, our guest tonight is a former FLW Outdoors president and chief executive officer, and has been a competitive bass angler since 1971. He holds a business administration degree from Berea College, but his true passion has always been fishing and the outdoors. In 1982, he joined forces with FLW Outdoors as a tournament director, where he was promoted to vice president shortly a short time later. In 1984, he took on a role as head of tournaments, and in 1996 accepted a position as chief operating officer, as well as hosting the FLW Tour weigh-ins, which was broadcast on national television. In 2004, he became the president and chief executive officer, in addition to co-hosting the acclaimed FLW television show. After leaving FLW Outdoors in 2010, he set out on a new journey and a second career as a professional angler, where he made countless top tens and a berth in the 2011 Forrest Wood Cup, FLW's Super Bowl of bass fishing. With a legendary and highly decorated career that has spanned over 5 decades, he is still one of the most active senior anglers and ambassadors in the sport today, working with young anglers with a mission to encourage and introduce kids and their families to the outdoors. Inducted into the Freshwater Fishing Hall of Fame in 2013. One of the most iconic, legendary personalities in the history of professional bass fishing, Mr. Charley Evans.
Man,
What's up,
what an intro.
Thank you all very much. I
man?
appreciate that introduction. Not sure I'm worthy of it, but I'm glad to be here tonight.
Well, we're blessed to be able to have you come on and join us. We both know your schedule is really, especially the last 3 weeks we're talking. Your schedule has been super crazy, so we're blessed that just to take time out of the out of your evening to talk some fishing with us, Charlie. We're just blessed to have you on board.
Yes, for
I
sure.
love to talk fishing, guys. I love anything about fishing. Fishing has been my life, and I am a fan as well as an angler.
Yes, sir.
Now, I do want to talk though, since we just got done with the Bassmaster Classic. Um, Charlie, were you surprised that we did not see any bags that was over 30 pounds?
I think that had a lot to do with the weather, Colin. That is a tremendous body of water that has got huge fish in it, and had the weather been more cooperative, I thought we would see bags over 30, but it was still impressive under the weather conditions.
Yeah,
These guys are really good.
Yeah, they they really showed out, and especially for, I mean, they were battling 25, 30 mile an hour winds. I mean, all week long, even during practice. I seen where Trey McKinney about sunk his boat at the boat ramp because of the waves coming up onto his boat, and but to be able to see them go out there and be able to perform like they did, it was a phenomenal job.
yeah,
Um, Now Easton Fothergill, he just put the hammer down after day two, and he did not look back. I was really excited to see
yeah,
a young angler like that to be able on the biggest stage in fishing to keep his composure and be able to fish and fish hard like he did to be able to pull that one off. I thought he done an exceptional job.
yeah,
I got to tell you, college angling has been a shot in the arm to our entire industry, to tournament fishing. College angling has really changed the picture of everything. And
right.
these college anglers they come out when they come out of college, they're ready to go.
Yeah, they are, and I think that with them being able to have college angling and stuff like that, they're able to fish from people that are from up north, fishing with guys that are from down south, and they're trading information back and forth. And I think that has helped make the angler more rounded in fishing, because they're able to put what they know, and they trust somebody that is from wherever they're not from to be able to go, and they're able to utilize all that and just and come onto they're going through the opens, they're tearing it up in the opens. And when and I hate hearing people say, well, these young kids, they don't know really how to fish, and all they know how to do is just look down at a screen. And I honestly do not believe that. I think though that, I mean, especially like Trey McKinney, I mean, how he's just come on last year and just blew it up. I believe that he can just go anywhere he wants to and be able to put in a high quality performance.
You're exactly right, and that happens in every league. I think Drew Gill from MLF,
All right.
Yeah,
graduated from college, came on and fished the invitationals, qualified for the pro tours, already won two of them. Uh, we got some young anglers that are really sticks, and they can do it every which way in the world.
yeah,
They're not just electronics guys. These
No.
guys are great anglers with a lot of determination, a lot of
yeah,
knowledge, and they're really good in teaching a lot of other people how to catch
yeah,
fish.
yeah,
Yeah. And because people think if you have that forward facing sonar on your boat, them fish are automatically going to jump into the boat. And I know, Charlie, me and you got to talking about this, and we ended up spending about an hour just talking on the floor there at the expo, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. So that's the reason why I want to kind of bring it back up, um, because I want to talk about, like, it's not the people that are like that stand out with the forward facing sonar. There's no telling how many thousands of hours that they have studying and working on it and building that repertoire in their tackle box to be able to utilize it at that high level. Um, and so I believe, I mean, because I believe that the forward facing sonar is more of a tool for me, is a tool to learn fish habits. And I don't know if I've actually gone out there and caught more fish, maybe a little percentage more, but I've learned what we thought growing up that fish were doing is totally wrong of what we were thinking back when I was a kid and stuff like that.
I'll tell you another great thing about forward facing sonar for people that are trying to learn how to be better anglers, and that includes everybody, from the
Right,
guy that's just starting fishing to the pro that's been there for years and years and years. We're all still trying to learn more and more. And the biggest thing it can do is save you time. It will keep you from fishing in areas where there are no bass.
right,
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
plain and simple. It lets you know when you are around fish that will not catch them. You're exactly right. Forward facing sonar cannot catch fish. It don't know how to catch. It's just electronics. Is all it is.
yeah,
Has no hook, and so it can't catch fish. But it can guarantee you when you learn how to use it that you're fishing around where there are bass. That's up to
Yeah.
you to catch them.
that's it. Now, um, I want, because we talked about this, and you told me that it was okay to ask you. Um, Now we've got different tournament series, and the tournament series, I think we have one that went totally away from it.
Yeah.
We have another one that you can only use it just a small amount of time, and then the other one just said, "Hey, you can only have one transducers, and you can only have certain amount of inches of screens on your boat." Um, how do you think, Charlie, is going to affect fishing, or have you seen it already affect fishing?
It certainly. I'm choosing my words carefully here. Tournament organizations have no business in the tackle business or the electronics business or in the fishing business. Their
Right,
job is to run tournaments and provide a level playing field for the anglers. Uh, they shouldn't be in the electronics business determine who should buy what or who should use what. Or it reminds me of the old A rig deal when Paul
Yeah.
Elias won the A
Yeah.
right,
rig down on the FLW
Yeah.
tour on Lake Guntersville, and then the guy that designed that A rig sold it to Man's Bait Company for $100,000, which back then was a lot of money, and uh, and then tournament organizations decided. I'm going to say this, trying not to smile. Tournament organizations decided, boy, that catches fish. We need to resist. We need to not use that.
right,
Let's legislate against the A rig. And so basically, what they did was say, Man's Bait Company, we're going to decide that you can no longer stay in business
right,
because
Yeah.
you bought this company, and we don't want people using A rigs because they catch fish. So if you look at Bassmaster Classic, guys, you did not find Man's Bait Company. It no
no,
longer exists.
mm-mm,
It was put out of business by tournament organizations who decided that they would determine that it was a bad idea to have a bait that can catch fish.
Yeah.
right, and and that's sad. And I tell people all the time, like, when the side scan came out, people were doing the exact same thing. They were complaining about the exact same thing. Now they're not complaining because
You find it on.
every single
Yeah.
unit that you buy has side scan on
Yeah.
it coming straight out the box.
Yes.
And is that what's going to happen, is for it to have forward facing sonar out the box for people to stop complaining about it?
Well, we're I'm a professional angler, and so we're real good at complaining. We are experts at fishing and experts at complaining. We're going to complain about something all the time, no matter what it is. If we don't have anything, we'll make something up to complain about. But I will tell you this: our sport and our industry, the fishing industry, and all those companies you saw at the classic, all that I think there's like what was it, $40 billion or some crazy
Yeah.
number
Yeah.
in our industry, and every one of those companies is trying to build a better mousetrap, trying to find something that they can sell that will help people catch fish.
Yeah.
That's never going to stop. And so electronics are different today than they were 5 years ago, than they were 10 years ago, than they were 20 years ago, back when David Fritz was using the old Humminbird Super 60 and catching more fish than anybody else. There, it's not going to stop. The technology is not going to halt because a turbo organization says, "Well, we're getting too high tech here." It's going to keep on going. It's
Right.
never ever going to stop, and it's going to continually improve. And the idea of ever improvement is to help people catch more fish, to
Yeah.
go out and go fishing and have a fun day rather than a skunk day. I got to tell
Right.
you, I've done some skunk days; those are not fun.
No.
And if
Yeah.
people go out and continue to get skunked every time, pretty soon they'll find something else to do with their spare time
Yeah.
Yeah.
and somewhere else to spend their money, whether it's bowling or golf or whatever it is. So our job as a sport and as the industry is to teach people how to catch fish and how to be more successful at it. And electronics is a big part of that.
Yeah.
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 Now, do you think that there's a way how that the tournament series can? I think because the main issue of it is it's boring TV just seeing somebody look down, and I totally get that. But do you think that there's a way? I know that Bass does it with Humminbird to where they link them up to the TV so where you can see what they're looking at. Um, do you think if they utilize that more, that more people would kind of be more accepting of that?
There's kind of like two parts to that. People watch, they watch not because to be entertained, but become better anglers. They want to
Right.
know what the pros are doing and try to imitate that. And so there's two parts to that. One is for the tournament angler, the guy that's using that equipment. He needs to do a better job of explaining what he's doing, why he's doing it, showing you how to do it, showing how you can use it
Yeah.
to better your odds while you're out there. And the second is for tournament organizations to produce a television show that is also teaching people. So if
Right.
all you're doing is showing hook sets and fish weigh-ins, weigh-in fish and hook sets, and you're not explaining what the angler's doing, why he's doing it, where he's at, what he's using, how he's using it,
Yeah.
if they do a better job of teaching people how to catch fish, then all the controversy will go away. It'll disappear
Yeah.
because everybody wants to know how to be a better angler.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's true. Now, do you think that the tournament series that have went away from it will eventually come back, or do you think that's kind of a permanent?
I made a comment, and I love the sport. I love the industry. I
Yeah.
love all the tournament organizations. I want our tournament organizations to be successful, profitable, and to keep on going. Because without tournament organizations, we'd be out of a job. I mean, we
Right.
don't have a job anymore. So I want them to do good. But I made a statement that technology again is not going to stop. It's only going to get better and keep
Right.
going. And the last thing we want to do is say, guys, no more. Don't you can't use those electric trolling motors, brushless trolling motors anymore. They're very powerful. Go back to using scull and paddle. Only you two guys probably don't know what I'm talking about, scull and paddle. And we used to paddle around with a paddle to move our boat around to catch fish. And that was years and years and years ago. We wouldn't dream about doing that now. We want
Nah.
that electric trolling motor. And so technology is a good thing. Uh, it's certainly got its place, and we need to not just endorse it. We need to promote it and tell
Yeah.
people how to use it and show people how to use it so they can go out and have a better time fishing. And so I made a statement one time that I hope that the NPFL realizes the mistake they've made before it's too late.
Right.
If
Yeah.
they do not, will have signed their death warrant because technology is not stopping. And all these young anglers that are coming out, believe me, guys, they're they are not going to say I'm not going to use electronics. It's not going to happen. Not
Right.
going to happen. And so all of us older guys, we all got a lifespan in fishing. Probably getting close on mine, and so the turnover is going to keep coming. And again, the replacement is from the college anglers. That's where the new guys are coming
Right.
up. And so 20 years from now, uh, I don't think you'll see any tournament organization that's banning electronics still in existence.
Right.
Yeah.
They'll have to change or they'll die. They will die.
Yeah. Now, to kind of get off of the forward facing sonar and stuff for a second, um, do you think anybody in the fishing industry could have seen like how the kayak fishing has just exploded, especially since uh, 2020 and COVID and stuff like that? Do you think that was like I know when you start a company, you always dream big and stuff, but do you think that was really the picture that they thought of? Like, I mean, because you don't go out on the water anymore and not see 10, 15 of them out there fishing. And, um, I'm just surprised, like, really how it's just kind of exploded, especially in the past 5 years.
It really is economics. And I'm a business management major from college, and so I understand something about business. And so a lot of people to get started, the kayak is a great way to start. But I'll bet you this, that if you interviewed every kayak angler out there, their goal was to be in the same boat the guys that the classic were in.
Yeah.
Same type of boat. That's where they want to end up at. So if it can introduce people to fishing, I think it's great.
Yeah.
If it can get more people out there on the water, I think that's great. But will it ever be, will kayak tournaments ever be as big as the classic? Not a chance.
Mm-hmm.
Not a chance. The dollars aren't there. We're in the fishing business, and the key word there is not fishing, it's business. This is a business that depends on dollars being spent to grow.
Yeah.
Right.
And I think that kind of like what you were saying, for somebody that's trying to get in, and I know a bunch of people that are kayak fishermen, and they've been fishing their whole lives. They love being in the little kayaks. Well, they're not little. I mean, I know some of them are 12 foot or so, and they've got big old trolling motors and all these screens and stuff. But I, I never would have thought that it would have gotten as big, and especially seeing the guys at the classic doing the Bassmaster Classic kayak, their classic, and seeing actually like how much I was talking to Gene Jensen, the Fluke Master on YouTube. I was talking to him and talking about how much that he actually like bought the body of water that he actually was able to cover, because again, 5+ years ago, you would have never thought that somebody was going to be able to cover the miles that they're covering in these kayaks either.
There's no doubt about it. It's a probably the most economical way to get on the water and compete in tournaments. But you will never. I'm gonna remember this. Why I said this. You will never see a kayak tournament pay $300,000 to the champion.
Yeah.
Nah.
Not going to happen. It's not going to happen. I mean, it's just the economics of it don't fit. It doesn't work.
Right.
But it's a great place for people to get started. A great way to go fishing. The fish don't care what you're in. They really don't.
No.
I mean,
Or male or
and
female,
so
they don't care.
they don't make any difference. As a matter of fact, one of the great lady kayakers is now fishing the MLF Invitationals.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And she is a great angler. I'm sure she learned a lot from kayaks, and now she wants to make that next step up, and she's fishing in a bass boat
Yeah.
and fishing at a major league invitationals level,
Yeah.
and,
Yeah,
and she is
see,
really really good, and,
Yeah.
and she's good as she is because of the time she spent on the water in
Yeah.
that kayak. Spending
right.
time on you can't replace spending time on the water.
No.
Nah. Well, and I know one thing. We go every year after ICAST and stuff. We'll go down to Central Florida and we'll go and fish, but we'll go to the Everglades. We make sure we spend one day in the Everglades. I'm a Tennessee boy, Charlie. we don't have anything in waters that's going to attack our fish when we catch them, let alone something in the water that's going to be as long as what these people that are in these kayaks, and they're just going beating these banks right beside these gators, and I'm over here like, y'all are some crazy.
Well, I'm from Kentucky, and I agree completely with you. If I'm down in Florida and I see an alligator, I'm going to move away. I'm not going to move close. I guess I'm
Right,
going to get away from that rascal.
right. We Norman and I were out on the boat, and Norman laughs about this all the time. He gives me a hard time about it. So the first time that I ever went fishing down in Florida, we were we went and fished headwaters. It was the first time that I ever seen any kind of gators. In the wild. I've seen them in like a zoo and stuff like that, but in the wild was that first time was at headwaters, and then we went down to the Everglades and we were fishing down one of the canals, and these gators were coming at us, but they were just by the time they get 20 feet from us, they were going around us and just going on their merry way. And so I'm over. Of course, I've got my GoPro going. I pulled out my phone, taking pictures as these gators are going by. Well, we had one gator that was probably what, Norman, about 9-10 foot or something like
Yeah,
that.
yeah, probably.
That come around and went. By the time it got to the stern of the boat, flipped a Yui on us, Charlie. Come up to the center console and just was staring us down. Well, I'm over here thinking this is the coolest thing ever, and I'm over here taking pictures, taking videos for my GoPro. Well, Norman lets me take about 3 or 4 pictures, and he says, "You might want to get on that trolling motor." And I'm like, "Why? I mean, it's just in the water." And he says, "Right now, that gator's thinking, do I eat lunch or do I just go on?" And he said, "You are the biggest person in this boat, so he's probably coming after you first."
Uh, I understand that completely, and I love to see gators out there too. My favorite place to watch them is at a Bass Pro Shop where there's a wall between me and the gator.
Right, right. So, what has been one of the most interesting experiences that you've had out on the water?
I got to tell you, every day on the water is like a gift from God. It truly is. I said my job out here right now is try to get kids and their families out on the water, enjoying God's creation, and every day is just exciting as it can be. None of it is ever. I've never been frightened on the water. I don't get around gators though. By the way, I stay away from gators. But anyway, the boats are extremely safe. Our equipment is amazing. We all wear life jackets. We all use ignition
Yeah.
self devices, and so as a group we're the safest people on the water, and the best trained and the most experienced. And so every day, just I wish I could spend more days on the water than I currently do, but it's amazing. And my granddaddy told me this. My granddaddy was probably the smartest man I ever knew. He told me that every day that you spend on the water was not counted against your grand total. And we all have a grand total. We don't know what that total is, but he said every day on the water extended that by a day. It's like a free day. And so I've got it figured out right now, Norman. I'm going to live to be 327 years old. I outlive all my friends, won't have anybody to talk to.
Oh, that's awesome. That is awesome.
um, we got Matt Dillon says, "Charlie, I've been hearing different stories about the weigh-in at the classic that the fish are stressed because they go from the tournament to the live well and then have to drive to the weigh-in, and then they gotta take them out again to weigh them back and then back to the lake. Does any of that make sense on what I'm saying?"
I will tell you, we need to take care of the resources, no doubt about that. But I'm going to also tell you a story about when I was fishing in Renfro Valley Lake, nearby hometown of Berea, Kentucky. and I was fishing in an aluminum boat, and I caught my first 7 pounder. I caught my first 7 pound bass, and so I put it on the stringer and towed it around in the boat while I fished the rest of the day. And then when I got ready to go back to the ramp, I threw it in the bottom of that boat and went back to the ramp. And when I got to the ramp, then I took it out of the bottom of the boat and put it in the back of my 69 Grand Prix that was covered in dust and laid it back in the back there and drove 20 minutes back to my house. And when I got back to the house, I said, well, I got to get this fish out of the trunk. When I opened up the trunk, the old bass was still alive, still breathing on occasion. Its eyes had been covered by mud. And so I happened to have a pond that was like, I don't know, 2 or 3 feet deep. And so I said, well, it's still alive. I'm going to take it out and put it in the pond. So I took the fish out of the trunk of that car, covered in dust, and placed it in the pond. And it floated belly up, but it was still breathing. I said, well, I'll just leave it there tonight. Either the foxes will come and get it or coyotes, whatever, or it'll be fine and we'll worry about it tomorrow. So I went in, and the next day I came back out and the bass was not there. I said, something's happened to the bass. So I got looking around and the bass was swimming around. Now, this is a fish again that got put on a stringer, towed around in the boat half the day, towed in the back of a trunk of a car for at least 20 minutes, throw it in the pond upside belly, and now he's out swimming that pond. So I went and got some minnows for it. You know, the fish was dead. I got a bag of minnows and put them in the pond, and the fish could hear those minnows. He'd come over and would hit that cotton picking bag of minnows. And when I picked one out, I fed him by hand. He lived 3 more years. She did. And so bass are not near as fragile as we think they are,
Yeah.
but we need to take great care of them. We need to handle them with care. But I will tell you this: bass and MLF are experts at fish care.
Yeah.
That, and our live wells are unbelievably. Ranger had the first, patented live well system. Our live wells are unbelievably good. Our anglers are good, really good at handling, and live release rate in tournaments is way up high in the 90s. Like and
But
Well, hopefully he'll be able to come right back on, guys.
just told me one time that if we took every tournament caught bass, and pile them up in a pile and turn them into fertilizer, it would not impact the resource.
Yeah.
Most of the bass are caught by people not fishing in tournaments, and most of those people are able to keep whatever the legal limit is and take them home and fillet them and fry them. And so our fishing game people are fantastic. Our tournament organization people are fantastic. Don't worry about what's happened in with the bass that are caught in the classic. They're great. They're in great
Yeah.
shape. Not no harm's done.
Yeah.
yeah,
And Texas
Did I
wildlife.
lose you?
Now, can you hear me?
Shoot. Hold
We can
on.
hear you. So, kind of going back to what I was fixing to say, uh,
Mm.
that Texas wildlife has done a phenomenal job over what the past 15, 20 years, Norman.
oh yeah,
That you have, I mean, just the size of fish that they've always been able to have big fish there, but the size of that the fish that they're catching now and that they're taking care of has been phenomenal. Um, I know we Norman and I were doing media day, and we had our marketing team, Jen and Dustin Muse, there with us, and my best friend John York, and we were talking to the anglers and stuff, and actually Lee Livesey in practice actually caught, I think it was a 12, I think it's 12-4 is what he caught. And so with hearing that, and which we've heard that there was a couple other 10, 11 pounders coming in, but Lee Livesey caught the biggest one that was there in practice, was I think it's 12-4. But Norman and I were stoked, and Jen and Dustin was about, because we thought that we were going to see some double digit bass. And so, but kind of to go again with that, I mean, there's I mean, so many last year. Norman, how many last year at Fork was there that there was the Century Belt? Was there? It was like 4 or 5, wasn't it? I can't
That
hear Norman.
There we go.
was
We're
that.
good. I actually muted myself so Ricky could hear me,
I'm.
but I
I
was
think
like,
I'm back again. Am I
We
back
got you
again?
now.
yeah,
Good.
we got you going good. There we go.
So, but Charlie, the Texas wildlife though has done a phenomenal job over the past 20 years. And I was kind of talking while I was trying to get everything back together. Um, the size, like they have so many massive fish, and pretty much, uh, who was it that was? Um, I think was it might have been Brandon Lester that said, if you want to catch a double digit, go spend some time in Texas. And
I think that's a pretty good idea because the Share Lunker program has been a tremendous success.
Yeah,
it has, and how I wasn't worried. Like, kind of go back on what Matt was talking about with the fish health, because I know being around the bass, or being around Bassmasters, being around the Bass Pro Tours, and then the Toyota Series and the Opens and stuff like that, and seeing these guys how they want these fish to live more than
yeah,
anybody else that's on that body of water. How
Absolutely,
they take
their
care of
livelihood
it.
depends upon them.
yeah,
Correct. I mean, um, and so they take care of them. I mean, you've seen them to where they put ice in the box, they put that G juice and stuff in the live wells. They make sure that those fish are well taken care of. And then once bass gets it to, like, let's say the Classic, and Texas Wildlife takes them, and because I think they're the ones that actually took them back to Ray Roberts. Am I correct?
Yes, that's correct.
And so, um, and I think that's I seen something for the Classic that they said that it was a 98 percentile of the fish living after getting back. And I think
yeah,
out of the whole tournament, I think I heard that there was 8 fish that did not make it after making that trip, the hour and a half trip back, hour and a half trip back to the water. That there was 8 fish out of the whole tournament.
yeah.
Which is a infinitesimally small percentage. In other
Correct.
words,
Very small, very small.
almost every one of them did just fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, um, now how is fishing in Kentucky? You grew up in Kentucky. How has that been able to help you in your fishing career? Coming up, starting in the '70s as a professional angler. Was that able to give you a good step in the right directions fishing from out of Kentucky?
Being a tournament director, and I've directed tournaments all across the country, so I got to see a lot of the different country, and I got to meet some of the greatest anglers in the world. And by part of the television show, I also got to work on the editing of that show, and I got to call the winning anglers and talk to them and find out. I mean, I learned more from everybody else than I could ever have taught myself in a million years. And so I'm not very good, but what skill I have is because I learned it from the greatest anglers in the world.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, and it's amazing if you just listen to somebody of what they have to say, of what you can pick up, and they may not be directly telling you something, but if you just listen to what they're saying and how they're talking about it, you can pick up a whole lot and be able, the sky's the limit for you.
I'll tell you this, and I believe this firmly, that anglers are one group that love to talk about what they're doing. They really, really do. And especially anglers at the top level of the sport, they realize that they can inspire people to go fishing, or they can discourage people from going fishing. So everybody at the top level of sport says they want to tell everybody, and they will. I mean, Jacob Wheeler, Drew Gill, all the people I know. Denny Breyer did. I mean, Hank Parker did. Jimmy, all these people will tell you exactly what they're doing it with, how they're using it. If you ask them a question, they'll give you a direct answer because as much as they tell me, I still can't catch them like those guys do.
No, no, no. I told Jimmy. I was talking to him, and I was like, I love watching your spinner baits and how you throw spinner baits. I've learned so much. And I told him, I said, I don't know. I said, I guarantee you, if I took out the red stick bait, lit that sucker, and threw it in the water, I still would not catch as many fish as you do on a spinner.
Exactly right. You're exactly right. And then I encourage people all the time is it doesn't hurt to share your fishing information with other people because you cannot hoe another man's garden.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Have you heard that before? I
I
mean,
have.
Yeah.
so even though they're telling you this is where I went, this is what I used, this is the color, they still nothing that you can tell anybody is going to hurt your fishing on that body of water.
Yeah.
Right. Well, because, and also, like, how I look at it is I could tell you the structure that I'm fishing. I could tell you the depth. I could even give you the waypoint to where I'm fishing. We could fish the exact same bait, but I may do another little twitch or something that I'm really just not mentally thinking that I'm doing, just out of kind of maybe habit or something like that. You may not present that bait just exactly how I'm presenting it to get that bite for myself.
And I'll tell you another thing, now with drones, we used to use helicopters, now with
Right.
drone coverage and the coverage that these term organizations have on people on the water, you can't keep secrets anyway. So
Mm-mm.
you might as
Yeah.
well go ahead and tell the truth.
No.
They're going to see everything you're doing. They're going to watch everything you're doing, and that's great because you're going to help other people become better anglers.
Yeah.
Exactly. And I tell people that they'll say, "Do you have any secret spots on Chickamauga?" And I said, "There's no secret spots on Chickamauga. There's no secret spots on any lake. After having Google Maps and you can do whatever, and you got all these the sonars and side scans,
Navionics, yes,
there
navionics.
is
It's
there's nothing
unbelievable.
secret."
Yeah,
Yeah.
the amount of information that's available out there for you to be prepared to go fish a body of water, there's never been more. And so
Yeah.
you're exactly right. There are no secret places.
Now, what, as what or who was the person that you have enjoyed having on your boat or going out fishing with? Just top of your head, one of your favorite persons to go out and fish with.
Well, you mentioned his name already, Jimmy Houston. I've been to Twin Eagles Ranch and I've done some shows with Jimmy. And if you can't have fun with Jimmy Houston, you're never going to have any fun. I
No.
mean, you're already dead and don't know it yet. And so Jimmy's always fun. The only deal with Jimmy when you're shooting a TV show with Jimmy, and I've shot some shows with Jimmy where I thought, man, this I'm gonna look really good here. When it came to the show, I didn't catch any. Jimmy's doing the editing, but at any rate, that's Jimmy was fun, and and my favorite all time fishing partner is past tournament director of FLW, Bill
Yeah.
Taylor. I
Yeah.
started fishing with Bill years and years and years ago. We fished buddy tournaments together, and he is he's unbelievable on the water. He's so entertaining. I'm laughing half the time. That's why he beats me all the time because I'm not even making a cast. I'm laughing so hard. And so going fishing with somebody is tremendous. And I remember back in the days when we had co-anglers in the boat, and it's different today without co-anglers. I will tell you
Yeah.
that.
Right.
A couple of things. One is that co-anglers buy stuff, pros bum stuff, and we're in the fishing business. So we miss the coiners on the economic side of it, but also
Right.
just having somebody in the boat with you that will is trying to learn how to fish, and you can show them your equipment, hand them your rod and reel, show them why this line is better, show them how to tie a knot, show them the electronics. All those things are missing, and we can tell people about it like on the floor of classic, but it's not the same as showing them
Yeah.
like it out on the water.
Right. Now, how many? I mean, I know we don't know the exact number, but there's no telling how many co-anglers have caught or outfished the boater from the back of the boat just dragging a Cinco.
I will tell you this, and at one time I kept track of this number, but if you look at the pros at the top level of sport, there's about 300 total.
Right.
Then you go back and look at their history. A vast majority, I mean, at one time it's like 80% of them used to be co-anglers on the FLW tour.
Right. And that, and I really think that's one thing that the fishing industry is missing out is that co-angler. One, it helps that co-angler to make that step because they're able to see what the boaters are, what he's doing, what he's learning, and I know that there's some boaters that won't say anything; they'll try to hide and stuff like that. But for the most part, there's not too many fishermen that, if you have any questions, that will not try to help out that co-angler.
There's no doubt about it. The true pro understands that his job is to teach other people how to catch fish.
Yeah,
And his value to his sponsors, the people that support him, is his ability to impact market share. Very few anglers make a living off of tournament winnings. Very few. I mean, really
right,
small number. The vast majority of them make a living off of sponsorships, which is your ability to impact market share, is your ability to convince somebody to buy whatever it is you're trying to sell.
Yeah.
right. So, um, if you was to go out right now, Charlie, and needing to catch one fish, how are you going about catching that one fish?
I've told people this, and I've been involved with the Zoom Bait Company for, gosh, almighty, I can't remember how many years, long, long time ago.
Right,
And Zoom Bait makes them one called a finesse worm. No, wait a minute, not the finesse. The biggest one I use is a Zoom trick worm. A Zoom trick worm, and they make it in like I think 135 different colors.
But
And I tell people any of those colors are all right as long as it's green pumpkin. If you throw a green pumpkin Zoom trick worm and put some spike at chartreuse on the tip, you will catch fish. I mean, it doesn't matter. No, I don't care if you ever pick up a rod and reel in your life, you'll be able to catch some fish. So use Zoom trick worm, put some spike at chartreuse garlic on the tail of it, and it turns it from plastic into fish food, and they will come and find it.
yeah. Now, can you tell us, because you actually done some studies with the Zoom trick worms and Spike It. Can you tell us what's the difference? Or I mean, do you catch more fish with having the Spike It, or do you catch more fish without it, or is it useful
Well,
for you?
just start first about the spiket. Like I said, I told you that Zoom trick worm is a rubber worm, a plastic worm,
Yeah,
and it's it. But if you put that spiket chartreuse on the tail and drop it in the water, if you look at a bluegill beside that dock that you just dropped it in, it hits tails and it's fin are exact same trouble color as the tip of that worm now. So it
right,
turns it into fish food. But more recently, I worked with spiket on something called Spiket Sonic. And
right,
people talking about, man, now you're going to all they're selling now is these mini-baits. Spiket Sonic is a coating that you can put on your favorite bait, and it will show up better on Forward Facing Sonar. The
right,
test I did was to put two Zoom trick worms on the same line, one of them covered with the Sonic coating and one without, and you will not believe the difference between those two worms. It's unbelievable. You can see a crankbait, a spinner bait, whatever bait you want to use. You put that Sonic coating on it to spike it, and you'll see it on Forward Facing Sonar.
right.
yeah. And you told me that at the classic, and it about floored me, and uh, because I I like using the dyes and stuff, and especially, I mean, and I know you've been to Chickamauga, and you know that from one day to another, you could have it that kind of greenish, clearish looking water. The next day, it looks like chocolate milk, and but having some kind of dye on it will, I mean, makes a big difference, especially on Chickamauga.
Well, on any lake it does, and
Right,
I
right,
tell people that when you got the spiket marker and you're using the Zoom trick worm. If the water's really clear, you just need just the tip of it. Just the tip of it is all you need to touch with that chartreuse. And if it's dirty, muddy, you might use an inch or inch and a half of it. So you vary the amount of pocket you put on based on the watercolor.
Right.
Yeah. Now, with all the years and stuff that you've been in the fishing industry, what has been the biggest advice that somebody has given you?
Oh gosh, I've gotten so much advice. Excuse me just a second. Tell this guy.
Sorry to bother you, sir. My little boy's taking a picture beside your boat.
That's fine. Be
Yes,
fine.
sir. Thank you.
I'm sitting here at a service station. The kids want to take a picture of my
Yeah,
paw boat.
go,
That happens all
go
the time.
ahead. Yeah,
All right.
go
Go
So
ahead.
ahead.
biggest piece
Yeah,
of
go ahead.
advice. Gosh almighty, I'd go back to Hank Parker. And Hank Parker told me years and years and years ago. This is true. I was fishing the same tournament that Hank Parker was fishing on Kentucky Lake, and Hank was smacking them. He was smacking them, and I was having trouble. So I went up to Hank and I said, "Hank, can you give me anything? Tell me anything." And then not only did he tell me, he handed me a bait, a crankbait. He
Right.
said, "You throw this crankbait, you'll catch fish." And then he said to me, and this is true. He said, "Every single fish you catch is telling you something.
Right.
There's no such thing as an accident bite. Every
Right.
single bite you get is giving you more information about what's going on." And the greatest thing about this sport is that it's constantly changing, not just daily, but during the day. You have to keep adapting to the changing conditions, and it is a challenge, and it will drive you crazy. And also, when you get it figured out, you'll say, "I'm the smartest man on the globe."
Yeah, right.
Until the next day.
Yes, yes.
So, what has been your favorite body of water to go to?
Oh gosh. I mean, Mexico's hard to beat. It's hard to beat down there, and Japan, Lake Biwa was fantastic. But here in the United States, I'd have to say my favorite body of water is Clear Lake in California. Now I realize a lot of guys back east haven't fished there before,
Right.
but if you haven't, you need to put it on your bucket list. That is the most beautiful lake in the world. Uh, get out in the middle of the lake and look up that big mountain. Half of it's gone. It was blown away as a volcano. Then you look out in the lake and there's islands that used to be up there in that mountain. It's fantastic lake. Probably more 10-pounders per acre than any lake in the world.
Really? I knew that they had some big ones on there, but I didn't know about that fact.
Well, the first 14-pounder I weighed came from Clear Lake. When I was up on the stage
Really?
weighing one in, I weighed a 14.1 in, and I was blown away. And 15 minutes later, I weighed a 14.9. And so at that point, I said, I got to fish Clear Lake, and I've been there several times. I love every time I go out there. It's the most amazing place to fish in the world.
Now, what is your biggest bass that you've caught?
Well, let's see. I'm going to tell you about one at Chickamauga. That's your lake there.
Oh no!
Still got me, or I'm gone now?
You're good. You're
We got
good.
you back. We got you back.
I'm trying again. I'm going to go come back in, guys.
We got you. Can you hear us, Charlie?
Can you hear us? He'll come back in. So I can't wait to hear what he's got to say about Chickamauga.
He's gonna log. He's gonna log back out, log back in. That's what we had to do last time. So he's probably trying to do the same thing.
So Norman, what do you think is going to be the big bass that he's going to bring up on Chick?
Oh, there he is.
There he is.
Hey, okay. Sorry about that.
Oh, you're good. You're good.
All right. So let's see. Where was I at? I was talking about Clear Lake, California.
And Chickamauga.
Chickamauga. Okay. I was on Chickamauga. I was practicing for an FLW tour, and I was throwing a Zorro boozer bug. I'm in Sparta, Tennessee, where Zorro's made, by the way. And I was throwing a Zorro boozer bug, and during practice, I took the hook and bent it all the way back against the shaft. So a fish could not be hooked. And so for 3 days of practice, all I did was take bites and mark spots, because I couldn't catch a fish. And so the last hour of the last day, I decided I need to catch at least one fish. I need to catch at least one fish. So I bent the hook back out, made a cast, and got a little bite. I said, I'm going to set the hook on this one. It weighed 12 pounds and 15 ounces.
Woo!
12, 15. And so I was tickled to death. It was my personal best in the United States. I was mad as a hornet because I caught it before the tournament. It don't pay nothing.
Right.
And so anyway, I weighed the fish. I took pictures of the fish, which I'm prone to do, and then I put it back in. I said, I'll be back. But the fish was not back when I got back there. It was already gone.
Yeah. Some odd reason it works out that way when you.
Yeah.
So, yeah, Chickamauga has some massive fish in it
Yeah.
as well.
I
I
got to tell you
know.
though, did you know that back when we first started Chickamauga, the tournament winning stringer was about 9 pounds?
I believe it. That's
Yeah.
what
It
it.
was.
That's what it
It
is
used to
about
be
right now.
a lot of little bitty fish, and you talking about the Tennessee Fish and Game Department doing a great job on the water.
Yeah. Uh, so yeah, if we could get the TWRA to stop spraying, uh, then that would be that would help out a whole lot. He'll be back on here in a second.
Yeah. Yeah. He'll be coming back on.
So, can you hear us, Charlie?
Am I back again one more time?
We're good. We're good. We're good.
Sorry about that.
You're fine. You're fine. Now, the only like issue that we have like with the TVA and like TWRA is like if we could get them to stop spraying. Well, they're just spraying the main channel, and um, but we have like the residents that live in the back of these sloughs they're privately getting these companies to come back there and spray in the back of the slough. So I mean, we have Chickamauga. This is the worst that I've seen it ever in the last 25, 26 years with them killing grass.
Well, if you were a dock owner, you know you paid a premium for the land,
Right.
and you built you a place on the lake, and with a boat dock for your boat. And
Yeah.
if it gets where you can't get your boat into the dock, then you might understand their side of it.
Right.
And I will tell you this, and I worked on the Senator Sasser's task force for aquatic vegetation on Kentucky Lake. I was part of that task force, and we studied spraying and 2,4-D and all that kind of stuff forever. And I will tell you this, bass and fish and game departments are extremely adaptable. They're going to adapt to whatever the conditions are, and grass is good, but you can spray for the landowners and not affect the population of bass.
Right.
And
Right.
those
Right.
two
Right.
things
Right.
can live together.
Right. So I know we've had you on here for about an hour, and we can't thank you enough, Charlie.
Thank you all for having me.
I do have another question. Now, when you're out fishing, would you rather fish like a highland reservoir that's like in eastern Kentucky, or would you rather like to fish a river system like the TVA?
I am a river rat. There's no doubt about it. I am a river rat. I don't know what it is. I think I can figure out what the bass are doing better when there's current.
Right.
I know how to read current pretty good,
Right.
and and so I prefer to fish the river. But let me tell you, if there's water there, I want to fish it.
That's how I am.
Yeah.
I just love to be able to get out there. There's nothing like getting out on the water and just feeling that little tug out on the end of the line.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. No doubt
So
about it. It's highly addictive, and I highly recommend it to anybody.
Yes. Yes.
so we have one question that Norm's going to ask that we ask everybody that comes on here, Charlie, and
All right.
we're not going to leave you out on this question. So Norman, take it away, brother.
All right,
Yeah,
Norman.
Charlie, and once again, we really appreciate taking time to come on and just chat some fishing with us, man. It's been a blast. It's always fun when we have a chance to talk to you. But if you were to have one person on your boat, Charlie, and this person could be passed away or still with us, who would that person be that you would want to fish with for the day, and why would you want to fish with them?
Well, I mentioned his name before, Bill Taylor, tournament director
Yes.
for FLW. I first met Bill Taylor. He was working for UPS, and I was working in a service station. And so I had a service station I was working in. I had hung some wiggle warts up that I had hand painted, had them on the tire rack. And Bill came in and looked at those, and he said, "You fish?" I said, "Yeah." "You?" He said, "Yeah." I said, "You got a boat?" He said, "Yeah." I knew we were going to be buddies, but I didn't have a boat. And so Bill and I have fished together, gosh almighty, well over 50 years, and we've traveled the country together. We've worked together for 28 years. Uh, he is one of the greatest anglers in the world. I've learned so much from him, and Bill has been diagnosed with dementia,
Yeah.
and so now I'm trying to spend every day I can on the water with Bill. Hopefully, we pray for the best for him. He's doing some experimental stuff at UK, and we hope he makes it through. But I'm
Yeah.
gonna try to spend every day I can with Bill Taylor because there's nobody more entertaining and no better angler I could learn from than Bill
Yeah.
Taylor.
Amen.
Yeah. And he don't live too terribly far, or he's from your neck of the woods, isn't he?
Exactly. We live about 30 minutes apart now, but I can cover it in 20 if I really hustle.
So you told us and real quick that you spent the last 3 weeks. It's been 3 weeks since you've been home. Now, are you on your way home? And then if so, are you going to be making your way back to Gunnersville here in 2 weeks?
I am on my way home, and I will be at the Red Crest. I'll be there, and people need to come and bring the kids. I think Sky and Marshall will be there, and we'll have the Kid Casters tangle-free rods that we want kids to use that are available at Bass Pro Shop. And if we can get enough kids with tangle-free rods, they may end up like the three of us and be addicts. And
Yeah.
if we want kids out there with their family going fishing. If we do that, then we can save our sport, we can save our industry, and we can save our country.
That's
Yes.
it. Now I do. Before we let you go, I got to tell you this story, and I've already had kind of mentioned something to you about it. My nephew, I have gotten when he was just a baby. I went and got the smallest Paw Patrol jersey that you had, and that little rascal loved that. He would go and he'd put it on, and then he'd wear it all day. He would make my sister wash that jersey just so he can wear it the next day. So she'd have to wash it, and he was wearing it day in, day out. And then it got to where he outgrew that one, and so I had to get him another one. I think I bought like four of them for him, and he wears them to school like on Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays. It is something that's like we already know what he's wearing. This is Monday. He's going to be wearing that, but his Paw Patrol fishing jersey. He just loves that. Can you tell us like how if people want to follow you, and we strongly suggest that you go and follow Mr. Charley because he puts out some great content, and so can you tell us like how people can follow you?
I can do that on Facebook. I'm Charley Evans, professional angler, and it's pretty easy to find on Facebook. And I do most of my stuff under that. I've got one under Charley Evans, but I don't know a whole lot of that. But Charley Professional Angler is where I take pictures with Sky and Marshall and all the kids, and that's the one I'd love for you to follow. And when you follow me, then I can continue to gain weight. Thank you.
Well, Mr. Charley,
Yeah.
we're going to end on that one. And so, but man, it is every time I see you, I have to come and say hey to you, and it always seems to be to where it ends up being 45 minutes to an hour conversation that we have, because I just love talking. I love the stories, and you and Shaw Grisby have got to be my two favorite anglers that I love talking to, because I know there's going to be a story somewhere in the conversation, and I just love hearing the old stories that's going on. And if we're lucky, Shaw will tell us a gator story.
Well, Shaw is going all together, but I will tell you, my first double-digit bass I caught in the boat with Shaw Grigsby, Orange Lake in Florida.
Oh
Oh
wow.
man, oh man.
on the
So,
Bobby Ditto crawl. So anyway,
so
Saul is one of my favorite all-time guys.
yeah,
Yes.
so we will see you here in 2 weeks. We're
Everybody,
gonna make that little trot down to where I think we're gonna go watch the launch, and then we're gonna hit the expo. So we will see you at the expo in Huntsville, um, and so everybody come to the
hey
Red Chris.
Brent, come and bring the kids. Bring the kids.
Bring the
Sky Marshall
kids.
will be there. Yeah.
Correct. So, Mr. Charlie, again, thank you so much for taking
Yep.
your time and parking at a convenience store to do this podcast. And we cannot thank you enough. And I
Yep.
cannot wait to see you again, brother.
All
And
right, guys.
I hope
Charlie.
you have a safe travels.
Thanks a lot,
Thank
Charlie. We'll
you.
see you in a
Thank you.
couple.
Good day.
Yes.
Bye.